Lawin, good to see you.
Good to see you, Paul. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you for making a bit of time to come and have a chat. I know you've just been on holiday, so you must be sort of in shock being back at work dealing with all those emails. So I appreciate you making a bit of time to come and have a chat with me. I wanted to start the interview by picking up something that you said to me when we spoke. It was a few weeks back now, which I thought was really interesting. You said. The great thing about the situation now is that we, which is IU, which is a small company, can do almost anything that big companies can do. Now, I thought that's people will be interested to hear about that. So just tell us a bit about that. I mean, what is it that you can do that big businesses are doing that you're doing in a different way?
Yeah, absolutely. We are at an inflection point where technology is really changing everything, and it's a fascinating
Yeah.
time to be alive. It's incredible, actually. Well, I'm the CEO and co-founder of airaiz, and we have built the AI infrastructure for raising capital. In the past, if you wanna be in that industry and if you want to grow, like we have done, we are basically now present in three different continents, in the major three cities in Asia and Singapore, then in London, and also in San Francisco. Um, you needed a lot of people who are operating
Mm.
those businesses. But with technology and with AI, you can do this uh, with nearly no people and just with the technology. So we're now 11 people across three continents. And what we are currently doing, raising capital or enable asset managers to raise capital, the way we are doing it. In the past, you needed probably 110 people who are doing the same jobs. The reason why we are able to do this with just a small team of 11 people is simply because the technology has advanced so much that
Yeah.
we can use large language models, LLMs, in order to do the task which an analyst or an associate was needed in the past. So all of those tasks we have digitalized, put together into one platform, which is basically now the infrastructure for raising capital for the private investment market. And you just don't need that many people anymore.
Yeah, so let
If
me just
you,
just to clarify then, so just to get this, I want to get this right. So for people that are listening, so what you're saying is your business is essentially 10 times more productive than bigger businesses. That's yeah, for the scale in terms of the number, the people are 10 times more productive, which I think is, I mean, that illustrates, I think, the power of AI. But just to explain to people, so people understand the practicalities, I mean, just give us a couple of examples of the tasks that your people can do that would have taken 10 more people to do. I mean, just give us, I mean, just illustrate what those tasks would be. Because, I mean, people don't know what's involved in raising capital for fund managers, I don't think. So just
yeah,
illustrate those sort of basic tasks that you guys do.
Yeah, let me go very deep into this one. So I've raised a little bit more than $700 million, and I have transaction experience of around $7 billion. And I'm coming out of the industry. And then I studied AI at Oxford, and started to learn how to code as well. So I'm combining both worlds. Within the world of capital raising or the private investment markets, you have a number of different steps which you need to do in order to raise capital. In the past, you find the right asset manager. The asset manager is giving you information about his fund, his track record, and his people. Now you have an AI agent who's obtaining all this information and is just asking the relevant question. You don't need a person who's flying from London to, let's say, Dallas in order to just have a questionnaire. Okay, you're doing a digital with an AI agent, and if the asset manager doesn't know, the AI agent can
Hmm.
access the entire internet, the intranet, all the information which is available, and can guide the asset manager to the right direction to help him to say the right thing. Then another example could be that you then somehow have to create materials, be it marketing materials, legal materials, with a click of a button and with the right AI agent who has the right data, all the materials will be created in split seconds. Then you need to find the right investor. And in order to find the right investor, you had an analyst who was going to Excel spreadsheets, thousands of different documents in order to find the right investor, and maybe even a research analyst who's then scanning through the internet
Yeah.
and understanding who's currently deploying, who's not deploying, um, even without the knowledge who might be deploying. And AI can do this again in split seconds. And
Yeah.
then you have a couple of other processes until the investor is then ready to deploy the capital.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of different processes. And what I've done is um, I understood how the capital raising process works, and everything which can be digitalized, I've digitalized it, and everything where you can then use an AI agent, I have implemented an AI agent. And because we have been AI first, we always thought about how can we tackle this particular task or this operation with an AI agent instead of hiring 1 to 10 people in order to solve the problem.
Yeah. So what you're saying, I mean, there's a couple of things there. I mean, one is that you started from scratch, so you're not having to rebuild a legacy system. You're just starting from scratch. It means you can think through the processes and digitalize them as you want them to work, rather than how they might have worked in the past, which gives you an efficiency gain anyway, doesn't it? But let me
Correct.
ask you about something that you talked about. You talked about one of the stages was how AI will produce the marketing materials, right? Now, I've heard a lot of people have said this, and I don't think it's actually true, but a lot of people have said, "Oh, when an AI produces that, it's AI slop." Now, I've seen some of those materials, not specifically from you, but I've seen some of those materials and they're probably better than I could produce. I mean, I'm not sure that this idea, if AI does it, it's automatically AI slop, because quite a lot of the stuff that I've seen in the past done by humans wasn't that great, actually. I mean, what's your take on this issue about people saying, oh, if it's done by AI, it's not as good? I mean, am I wrong to sort of misbelieve, mistrust that idea? I mean, I think that some of the stuff that's done by AI is pretty good.
Yeah, I think a lot of things which have been done by AI is pretty good. Um, well, there's a saying which I learned, which was garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah,
So if you have bad data, you might get bad output. But on the same time, if you have a bad prompt or a bad code,
yeah,
the output might be also bad. Okay, so you might want to learn how to talk to an AI with a prompt. In the past, what you had to do is you needed to learn Python. You need to learn how to code in
yeah,
order to speak to a computer. Nowadays, you can just prompt it. You can just write down, create legal material, or you can be as smart as you can be and just basically say to the to an LLM, um, create a prompt how to create a marketing material with all the problems you might have and review and critically think about all the problems. You go much deeper into this one.
yeah.
So once you know how to prompt engineer, then you get a much better output. So you need the right data, you need the right prompting as well, and then you might get a much better result. Think about this from a human perspective. If you have an analyst who is just coming out of university, he might not be as good as the person who has 20 years of experience writing the right legal document. But the future is very much that we are just using AI in order to create those materials.
Yeah. But one of the other things that's interesting about it is that, of course, that sits on a set of data, doesn't it? I mean, AI is only as good, really, as the data set that it sits on. Have you, I mean, just in terms of what you're doing, have you had to create, if you like, a discrete data set about this process so that the the way the AI has a competitive advantage because the data is better than the data that other people could get at. I mean, how much of it is that, if you like?
Yeah, data is very, very important, and
Yeah,
we have created our own data set. We have at the moment 67,000 institutional investors, so limited partners,
Wow.
in on our platform, and we have 150 data points. So that accumulates to 10.05 million data points.
Wow.
And on a regular basis, we are reviewing, we are critically analyzing, and critically thinking about the data and automatically updating this information. So every time we speak to an investor, that information is being observed about through our platform and updated automatically on our platform. So that gives us a competitive edge
Yeah.
towards a traditional player who actually had a notepad and was writing down everything, and then at the end of the meeting, just put it into their on their desk and not sharing it with their team.
Yeah. Yeah. And how have customers, investors, people that are looking to raise, I mean, how have they responded to this? Because it strikes me, and again, you may have a different, but it strikes me that one of the challenges with AI is not, I mean, it is the technology and getting it to do what you need it to do and what have you, but it's also the reaction of customers. I mean, I was talking to somebody this morning who said, I wouldn't want to talk to AI. I want to talk to a human. I mean, that's fine. I mean, it was an old person like me, but a lot of younger people would think, well, I'd rather deal with the technology because that's what I've always done. I mean, what's your take on the way customers are adapting to these new ways of doing things?
Yeah, that's adapting is a key word, and
Yeah.
it's very important that you're asking the question because we have numbers, the statistics, which is coming out of Silicon Valley, that between 80 to 90% of AI which has been developed is not being used.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so only 10 to 20% of software or AI which has been developed is also being used. Let me go a little bit deeper into that one.
Mhm.
There are two layers to that one. The first one is the internal adaptation. The second one is the external adaptation. Um, I've spoken to one of the largest investment banks or the software division of one of the largest investment banks and wealth managers in the world. And they basically said they are developing software, they're developing AI, but it already starts there that the team members who are supposed to use that AI or who are supposed to use that new software are not willing to use it.
Yeah.
So the internal adaptation is already a huge problem. Um, but then after they convince the stakeholders and the team members and the colleagues to use that new AI and software, they are facing a new challenge of convincing the customers
Yeah.
to use that new software as well. So that's very, very difficult for a large corporation who have to follow a lot of compliance and
Yeah.
regulatory hurdles. Um, the solution to that one, and you can debate it, but at Oxford we discussed that, and in our class we basically said the best way to do this is to have a top-down approach. So the CEO of a company says, we are using AI because that's where the future goes, and everybody who's not using AI cannot really work with us. And this is working. A bottom-up approach is very difficult.
Yeah.
We have seen that team members or champions within a company basically said, hey, we need to use AI, we need to use this software, we need to do this and this. But then they're struggling to implement the new technology within the teams, within the company, and also then within
And
the
what you're saying,
colleagues.
just to be clear, what you're saying is the fact that you're AI first, you started with AI, you're not trying to introduce it. You're AI first. That gives you a competitive edge. Is that essentially what you're saying?
Absolutely. So whenever there is a problem, we think first, how can we solve this problem with an AI?
Yeah.
If we are not able to solve the problem with an ad, then we are hiring. So in large corporations, you hear a lot that AI is replacing humans, is taking away our jobs. the reality is companies such as ours, we are starting with the newest technology. And if we are able to solve, let's say, one operational task with an AI, then we don't need to hire 10 new employees. And that's the reason why we are able to stay lean.
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you about something that we were talking about earlier. I mean, one of the points you made, which I think is really interesting, is that I mean the UK, probably most of Europe, is a few years behind the sorts of things that are happening in Silicon Valley. I mean, just give us a flavour of what those sorts, well, the sorts of things that you've come across. Because I know you've come across some of them. Just give us a flavour of those things, and what does that mean for people in the UK? I mean, we probably need to pull our finger out and catch up, don't we? I mean, just give us a flavour of that, because that's, I think, quite an important area.
Yeah, unfortunately, Europe is not only behind the US. Europe is, in terms of adaptation, also behind other regions in the world. Um, we have developed an investor platform where investors can come on the platform, log in with a magic link, and access all the deals. And we started to do this actually in Asia because we knew that the adoption rate over there is much higher to newest technology. And we saw that European LP investors were very hesitant, whereas Asian investors said, okay, I want to use this. I want to use your AI recommendation, and I want the AI to do everything for me
Yeah.
and just recommend where I should look, what kind of investment opportunities
Let,
I should look
let
at.
me ask
And
you, Lloyd, why are they so positive about it and we're a bit negative? I mean, why is that a different why is there a different culture around those kind of that investment mindset, if you like? I mean, why aren't we like that?
um, it's pretty straightforward in my opinion. It's debatable, but they're leapfrogging
Yeah,
a lot of aspects. So if you think about Africa, they never really had the landlines like we had in Europe, and they straight away jumped into mobile.
yeah,
And then from there, they made payments straight away through their mobile device.
yeah,
And that's what I've seen in Asia as well. They go straight into mobile, they make payments, they receive payments with SMS. How much payments are you receiving with SMS here in the UK? Not that much, because you have a very structured system, a very reliable, trustworthy banking system, which where you don't need to change. Now, changing requires a lot of effort and there are hurdles. So if you do not have that infrastructure and you are starting to develop it from scratch, obviously you're using the latest technology in order to develop it, and the technology is there. In Europe, you have to stop using old
yeah.
technology and start using new technology.
It's a transition thing, isn't it, really? And a lot of people struggle to get their heads around that because for all sorts of reasons. So,
Yeah, think about autonomous driving or self-driving cars. Silicon Valley has it. In San Francisco, I'm using the Waymo day in, day out. Um, I've seen that China is adapting to this. Um, I've seen that Europe is far behind that,
yeah.
but they will pick up at one point, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I mean, I think it's a great proposition what you're working on. Let me ask you about the process of building a business around that. So I mean, where do we start? So you decided that you're going to fix this problem. You're going to kind of create a new way to help people raise money. Yeah. What happened then? I mean, where did the idea come from, first of all? And then what happened? I mean, how did you go from I've got this great idea to I've now got this business that is, halfway, in all sorts of places around the planet.
Well, first and foremost, I had my first company and I exited that one, and I did pretty well as a portfolio manager as well. And then I was sitting together with my co-founder, and we were thinking, how can we make the world a better place? Because we are spending the next few decades working, but let's work on something meaningful.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of problems in the world. So, in every major city, there's a housing crisis. So, young
Yeah.
people are not able to find properties to buy and to live in. It's very difficult for them. There's a housing shortage. So, we said we need to help those developers to be able to raise capital
Yeah.
in order to build new houses. Then we saw an energy crisis, and that is because infrastructure asset managers, the GPs we are working with, were not able to raise
Yeah.
enough money to build renewable energy plants. So we said, okay, let's help these emerging asset managers to build new energy plants, renewable wind farms, renewable solar plants, so that we don't have this energy crisis. And then we also thought about the venture capital industry, which is basically the backbone of our society nowadays, because they are raising capital and then investing it into startups like us, who are then eventually also building or creating new jobs. Um, and this was basically our starting point.
Right.
Then we thought, in order to help those people, we have to make this platform global. Um, because at the moment there's a huge problem in our industry, the private investment market. We have around 1.45 trillion dollars in available capital, where the investors said, okay, we are ready to deploy this capital, we are ready to invest that capital if we find the right investment opportunity. And the asset managers, or those emerging asset managers who want to make a difference, they're looking for that capital, but they cannot find each other. So there's a mismatch. And we wanted to solve that problem. And we knew that you can only solve this problem digitally, globally, by using AI.
Okay. I mean, it's quite a big problem to have a go at. I mean, and I like to see a bit of ambition. I mean, I think, if you're going to go at a problem, you might as well go at a decent sized one. And you picked off a decent sized problem to work on. Um, that must have been sort of pretty interesting trying to get that up and running. I mean, just talk us through how that worked.
You mean like in the early days?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was exhausting all on the same time. I've been the CEO, I've been the tech support if the computer is not working, crawling under the table and fixing the computer of my colleagues, solving all the problems. You have every day 100 problems, and then you have 100 opportunities.
Yeah.
The smartest thing to do is just picking the three most important opportunities and the three most crucial problems and solving them
Yeah.
as soon as possible, so that you can move on. And interestingly enough, things are not changing. Now we are in the growth phase, having no offices in three continents. You have again probably now 1,000 different problems and 1,000 different opportunities, and you still have to select the three opportunities and the three
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my experience, I mean, which is a few years back now, I mean, it was that building a business it's great fun, but it's kind of punctuated by near-death experiences. Things are going fine. All of a sudden, something goes horribly wrong. I mean, has that been your experience? I mean, how do you feel about that kind of what you might describe as a bit of a roller coaster?
It is a roller coaster every day. Starts probably amazingly at 8 a.m. in the morning, and then you're exhausted at 8 p.m. and you still think about the problems and the solutions. Um, I think one of the best situations for me was really when we decided to digitalize everything, and we are from the industry. We knew how to close deals. We knew how to make money, but the adaptation was one of the biggest aspects. So then our CTO basically developed a new feature, and our client used that feature, and then I called up my CTO and say, hey, listen, our client actually uses our platform, go out, go to your wife and tell her that we did something amazing, which is now going to change the world. And he said to me, well, she's probably not so excited. She wants me to take out the garbage.
It's funny
But
how
that was that was
those little realities get in the way of the excitement, isn't
uh, yeah.
it?
But
Yeah.
then since then you just build the next feature and everything goes faster and better. Um, yeah, and then you're looking back at all the plans, tech development plan which you have written down, and you think, wow, these are all those features. These are all the agents which we wanted to develop. Now we have developed it. Now it's working. But then again, you have the next problem, which is the growth phase.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're not going to be bored.
No, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing that interested me, well, my experience was one of the other challenges is there are lots of things you could do. I mean, I'm guilty of getting distracted by things that interest me. I think, oh, that looks interesting. I'll go and do that, and then realise I should have, it was a bit of a waste of time. I should have been doing something else. I mean, what's your take on kind of, if you like, sorting out the signal and the noise? How do you kind of find your way through all those distractions, all those hundreds of things you could be doing to work out what the top three things are? I mean, how do you figure that out?
Good question. I think I'm working with a lot of very intelligent people.
Hmm.
I have a network of very intelligent friends and advisors. If I'm reaching a point where I just don't know, I'm asking the opinions of the people who have done it. So we have an advisor who had, I think, four unicorns, and he has exited those unicorns. Uh, and he was always spot on when he gave me advice. And I'm just trying to follow those suggestions and always critically evaluate this with the team, and try to make the right decisions. And I think so far, one of the best decisions was really that we are taking all the profits which we made with the company, reinvesting it into the company by developing the platform, expanding to Silicon Valley, expanding to Singapore, and probably also working hard every day.
Yeah. And why did you pick? I mean, it's obvious why people go to Silicon Valley. What was it? What was so intriguing about Singapore? I mean, I love Singapore, but why did you, from a business perspective, why Singapore?
Singapore is a very fascinating place. I can only highly speak about the people over there. The government, Lee Kuan Yew is one of my role models. He has created something out of literally nothing, and made it a booming city.
So, for the people
And
that don't know, he was the guy that founded Singapore. Am I right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And why is he your hero, if you like?
Um, so Singapore was expelled from Malaysia, and they wanted to be part of Malaysia, but they said just no. And he literally didn't have anything, and had to build an entire nation out of nothing just with his willpower. Um, and I'm just looking at the positive aspects of Singapore and Lee Kuan Yew, and he has made a difference. There is now a very stable city in Southeast Asia where people can go and work and make business, and people from all around the world are going into that location, similar to London, and are making business.
Yeah.
And that's what I've experienced in Singapore. That's what I experienced in London. That's what I'm experiencing also in San Francisco and Silicon Valley.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting you describe this. I mean, I think Singapore's a bit like London, but with much better weather.
But the Singaporeans are always saying that it's too hot for them.
Yeah, well, it probably is a bit hot at the moment. I mean, I think that's probably fair, but I mean, I think Singapore's great. I mean, I really like it. Um, and so just in terms of the business, then, just give us a flavour of the next. Where are you going with the business? I mean, what's the game plan?
Yeah. So when we started, we looked into capital raising. Where we are at the moment is we have built the infrastructure for raising capital. Where we want to be is something which I've experienced when I was working at Bloomberg. Bloomberg is basically the intelligence for the public market, and we want to be the intelligence for the private investment markets.
Okay.
We want to help the LP investors, the institutional investors, to find the right investment opportunity. We want to help the asset managers or the general partners, GPs, to find the right capital from the right investors and connect them.
And what's what in terms of impact? I mean, how do you sort of see the your legacy here? I mean, give us a flavour of. I mean, because okay, so what, given if you can achieve what you want to do, I mean, how will that, what difference will that make?
Um, if we are able to help um, more developers to build houses and the young generations are able to find the right property to live in, to buy and live in. If you don't have any energy crises anymore in the future and energy becomes affordable, and if we don't have any job problems or unemployment problems in the world, then we have done a good job. But it's not about me. It's about making a difference and working
Hmm.
with the team for and on behalf of our clients.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you describe it that way because so many people think that building a tech business is just about making heaps of money. It's about becoming the next Elon Musk. I mean, you don't strike me as like Elon Musk at all.
Oh, thank you. Uh, I've read his book. I've read his book, and it's actually very fascinating
Yeah, it is. I read it.
what he has achieved.
Hmm.
But it's also fascinating how he came out of South Africa and made such a huge impact in Silicon Valley. But the difference between him and me is his mother probably helped him with the student fees, whereas I had to pay or I had to help my family while I was studying with money. So there's a big difference on that.
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about you being the CEO. Um, I mean, some people say to me, it's a pretty glamorous job being the CEO. I mean, is that how you feel about it? I mean, do you like it?
I'm it just comes naturally to me. It's just a title which is not really relevant to me. I value the opinion of my team members. I'm asking them for their opinion, and whatever we have achieved is an achievement from all of us, including our clients, who always helped us with their feedback of what is going right, what is going wrong, what is helping them, what is not helping them. And yeah, most of my life I've been a CEO and a founder. That's the track record I have. There were occasions where I was coming out of university and I had a graduate job where I was shifting from one jurisdiction to another, where I had a job as a portfolio manager, or I had a part-time job when I was at university. I was working for Microsoft and Electronic Arts, but the majority of my time, I was always running a company, and I think that is not going to change. Uh, but for me, to be honest, it doesn't really matter what's the title,
But it
as long as I
requires,
can make an impact.
yeah, I mean, and I take your point about impact, but it also requires commitment, doesn't it? I mean, where does that commitment, because it sounds glamorous. A lot of it is about hard work. I mean, where does that commitment to do this, to take the risk, to have, put up with all the problems and dealing with things that go wrong and the the near-death experiences. I mean, where does that commitment come from with you? I mean, do you think that's
Mm.
something about your childhood, perhaps, or I mean, where does that come from?
Certainly, it's also something about my childhood. But as a founder or as an entrepreneur or as a CEO, very often you're just born with that drive
Mm.
to make the world a better place, to work extremely hard. Luckily, I have endless energy. I can work 24 hours. I can work out for hours and hours and hours, and I'm not getting tired of that. So that helps me a lot to cope with all the challenges which you have as a CEO and founder.
Yeah. I mean, just to pick up your point there about challenges, I mean, there are a lot, aren't there? Would you say you've developed a thick skin?
Of course, of course. But when I'm in a situation where um, things are um, things are looking really gloomy and you think you're not going to make it, but you have to make it. I'm always thinking about um, my parents and grandparents who had to go through situations which were so much harder than my life, literally. So if you think about immigrants who are coming on a boat uh, and have to survive. That the ocean just to arrive in Europe or in the States is nothing in comparison to what we have to do on a day-to-day basis. We have money in the bank accounts. We are privileged with good university degrees and titles and networks. They did not have anything. They did not have money for food. They did not have shelter. It's so much harder. I tell you a story about one of my cousin sisters. She she was a political refugee out of Sri Lanka, and at that time the war was very severe, and they had to go to different borders. And at one point, she was a little child, I think like 4, 5, 6 years old, and someone said to her, "Okay, you have to run through the forest in the middle of the night." It was somewhere in Russia or Poland, in order to reach Germany. That is a horrifying
Yeah.
situation. And I'm always thinking about this kind of situation and think like, okay, look, tomorrow's another day. I can solve the problem. Let me speak to my CTO, my CFO, and we will come up with a solution where we make the customer happy, where we fix the bugs, and we can get up and running again.
Yeah. I mean, because what you're saying is that you know you've got problems, but they're not nearly as bad as problems that other people had. So it kind of spurs you on, doesn't it? It says it keeps you mentally focused, I think.
Um, I think that is a comparison tool which I have integrated in my mind
Mm.
to realize how good my life is. But what keeps me running is basically the big vision. The vision has to be so big that you actually can't reach that. Um, Try to reach the star, then you might end up in the moon or something like this. Is
Yeah,
a
that's
saying,
the
isn't it?
phrase, isn't it? Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if the vision is so big, um, then you are probably able to tackle all the small problems which you have today.
yeah. So let me just ask you about what you've learned from the experience. I mean, my experience of being CEO was that it was about working out when to duck so you didn't get punched in the face a lot of the time. I mean, what's been your experience of, things going wrong, challenges, changes in direction? I mean, how do you feel about what you've learnt as the CEO? Because again, my experience was you learn a lot.
Yeah, you learn a lot all the time, everywhere. I'm an avid reader. I like to read a lot. Um, I'm usually reading a book, one book a week, and in those books, you can learn so much
Mm.
from other people's experience. Um, I read a book from a Silicon Valley investor, and I think Jessica Livingston book, and she basically explains how all these other startups in Silicon Valley had these problems. And the moment I'm reading that, I'm thinking like, wow, I have the same problem.
Oh,
So
really?
they somehow tackled the problems. PayPal had a lot of problems.
Mm.
Um, they somehow tackled it. Um, and you just basically learn from them as well, and then you're asking the advisors, and then you just keep on going.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not anti-reading. I mean, I read a lot of books, but I think there's a difference when you're building a business because I think you learn in a different way. I mean, you make a commitment to do something. I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, and then you have to deal with the consequences of that. So it's maybe it's worked or maybe it hasn't worked, but either way, you have to deal with the consequences. You know, which is a different experience, a different way of learning to kind of reading a book or going to a lecture or watching a video. I mean, that it's something more visceral about that. I mean, how do you feel about that process of making decisions and then having to deal with the consequences, good or bad? I mean, what's your take on that process?
Paul, you're completely right. Reading one book doesn't make a huge difference, but reading 1,000 books makes a huge difference, right? Whenever I don't know anything, I'm trying to find a book which basically explains that or how to solve that problem. At least I have a theoretical knowledge about it, and I will then start to tackle the problem with the knowledge I've acquired through the book. There are so many books for founders. There are so many books about successful startups out of Silicon Valley, successful startups out of the UK. There are so many books from billionaires who made it, and they are explaining all the time that there are so many different challenges coming in, how difficult it is to expand from the UK to the US,
Yeah,
how the
yeah,
mentality is different,
yeah,
and you cannot go with a mindset from a Brit and then tell the Americans what to do. You need those American partners, the colleagues, the team members,
yeah.
and let them do these things. I learned this out of the books, and somehow intuitively I applied that. Um, if something goes wrong, and truth be said, the people are really, really good people in the world. If we're doing something wrong because some of the features which we wanted to create are so buggy, have so many problems, I generally go and have a call, have a meeting with my client, apologize that it hasn't worked immediately. And these clients know that I'm really, really genuine. They know that I'm working extremely hard, not only to make myself rich or something like this, but I'm also working really, really hard for them, that they will be successful. I'm sharing all my knowledge. I'm trying to give anything which is actually not even in the scope of our agreement, which makes their life easier. And this is something they appreciate. And I've seen this again and again. If you're authentic, if you are working extremely hard for your clients, they do appreciate that. Think
Mm.
about this from a football point of view. If you have a team and they can't be bothered to play, they get millions of money and they lose the match, you might be angry as a fan. But if you have a team who's trying
Mm.
so hard to win, but they still lose, you're proud of your team.
Yeah. Yeah. And people would say that a lot of people say that about the England team in the World Cup. We did a
Oh, we are
good job.
proud of them. We are
Yeah,
proud of them. They
absolutely.
are doing a
I mean, it's a
they did a
shame they
good job.
didn't win. It's a shame they didn't win, but they did a pretty good job. So I
Yes.
think I think that your point is well made. But one of the other things about building a business is that your business is different to every other business. So I take your point about you can read a book about how a billionaire did things or how, but what you've got to work out is how to make it work in your context with your people, your resources, your technology, your customers. I mean, how do you, if you like, tailor all those other ideas and figure out how to make it work in your context? And what's had more impact, success or failure?
Oh, that's a really good one. I never thought about this. What had more impact? I think both. Uh, because what we are doing is, at the end of the day, what we're doing is we are rolling out the development of an AI feature.
Hmm.
And if you see that it's not working, we stop immediately, and we are reacting really, really fast, much faster than a large corporation because they take ages to react. We act really fast, we stop it. If you see something is working really well, we put a lot of effort and resources to make that feature usable for the customer. That has worked really well. Then I would say it's transferable knowledge. So you take the knowledge from another industry, from another company, and apply it to your specific company, your specific industry. And this has actually worked quite a lot. I would say it's kind of like engineering.
And just explain what you mean by that.
Um, let's say there's a process which works for the automotive industry. You might wanna take those operations and the processes and apply it to your company.
Yeah. So you're saying you use good ideas from other, because good ideas can come from anywhere, can't they? So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and I get that because yeah, I mean, there's a lot of logic to that. One thing that most CEOs don't want to talk about are when things go horribly wrong. Have you had any examples of things that you're perhaps willing to talk about that have gone horribly wrong?
Um, well, horribly wrong is um, I was lucky that things did not go that horribly wrong, but
Right,
you just have to react upon that. We are still a small fish in a big pond.
right.
So people are not noticing these things. It's not like Meta, Facebook, where lives matter. If our algorithm is not 100% perfect, but maybe 90%, it's still a good outcome overall. But um, yeah, we are lucky that we're in that industry and we are able to help people without actually harming people. Well, that's because one of the things which the world is very worried about, that AI can harm people,
Yeah,
that AI can be used for military and so on. We are not in that industry. We're here to find capital for a developer. We are here to find the right investment opportunity from an investor, from an institutional and um, yeah, knowledgeable investor, and basically connect them.
yeah. I mean, seeing as you've mentioned it, I mean, because it's in the press right at the moment about AI escaping from the sandbox and hacking, Hugging Face and what have you. I mean, you know about AI. What's your take on those risks? I mean, would you say we're taking proper account of the scale of risk involved there, or are the media overplaying it? I mean, what's your broad take on that?
Of course, the media is overplaying it, but the stakeholders are also overplaying it. So this is my take, and I can be completely wrong. Um, AI is just basically the next evolution of software,
Yeah,
where if you break it down, it goes into machine learning and then data science, and it is super impressive. But even software was super impressive
yeah,
26 years ago, during the dot-com bubble. Suddenly you had the internet and you were able to read all the newspapers. You thought like, okay, wow, I have all the knowledge in the world. The AI is just doing the next step. And
mm,
over the last 26 years, Silicon Valley has worked really, really hard in order to get to that point. But it's not like that uh, the AI is um, is acting like in these science fiction movies. It is some of the AI features or some of the AI developments are really, really dumb. So in comparison, a monkey might be smarter than an AI.
Yeah.
We have problems in the world to develop at the moment in 2026 to develop AI hand which can grab something soft. And there are so many engineers who are working on that one. It just comes naturally that we are grabbing something soft easily with our hands. Okay, so this is where we are in terms of AI. A lot of the AI company owners and big players, I don't want to mention names, they're obviously saying, yeah, AI is going to do everything different in order to attract capital for their companies. They have to say that. But the reality
You're
is,
just to be clear, you're a bit skeptical then.
uh, no, I'm saying AI is able to do certain things for a certain task, but it cannot. It's not going to be that no humans are working at all. Um, you're going to work together with the AI, but certain things you don't need humans anymore because the AI is doing a better job.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting few years, actually. Just one last question before we wind up. I mean, if you were to offer a bit of advice to a rookie CEO, somebody just coming in who wanted to do something, what would your words of wisdom be?
Read a lot of books
Right. Anything
about make sure that your team is smarter than you and that you have a team which is complementing your skills. Um, and then be passionate about being an entrepreneur, being a CEO, being a founder, and work as hard as you can. Because not everybody has the ability to work and to make a difference. So if you have it, then use it because you probably owe it to the world.
Yeah, yeah. Lauren, I mean, some great advice, I think, there.
Thank you.
Particularly the thing about surrounding yourself with smart people. I mean, I always think that's a good piece of
Yeah.
advice. And being passionate about what you're doing something useful seems pretty good advice as well. So thank you for making a bit of time to come and have a chat. I mean, I really appreciate that. I mean, a really interesting space that you're in and pretty exciting actually in terms of the potential of what you're trying to do. So, I mean, good luck going forward. I mean, I think it's great. So I really appreciate you taking time to come and have a chat with us.
Thank you, Paul. It was a pleasure to be at your channel.
Cheers. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.